is mobility number 63 and we're getting straight into it this morning. It's full body flexibility, no foam rolling, no pain, just discomfort this morning. Discomfort is the name of the game. I'm going to minimise the talking this morning, get some tunes on. Don't zone out, focus on what you're doing. When we're holding a stretch for 2 minutes, you're trying to take it further and further and further because you're trying to get better. It's not a case of, you know, picking your fingernails and all that. Focus, get the work done, but try and chill out at the same time. Yes, you know who I'm talking about. Right, anyway, we're getting into it this morning. We're doing a familiar one with a few a few variations. Stop talking and get into it. Let's go. We're going into the full one. Almost. This will put the EBGBs into you, because when we do this one, you'll be thinking, oh, wait a minute, are we doing a circuit? No, we're not. Right, okay, so full press up position. You can see my feet are just outside shoulder width apart. You play around with that position of your feet and see what works for you. Hands, I would always recommend you get your hands nice and close as if you're about to do a close-handed press up. Lift the hips up, and the only way this one works for you is if your feet and hands aren't sliding across the floor, because otherwise you're just going to look like me now. You're going to be trying to hold that position with no stretch. So if you're struggling, get your bare feet out on your wooden floor or go and whack your ankles up against your skirting board. You need to be anchored on this one. So all I'm going to do is push the hips up and back. The first goal is getting a good stretch in to the back of the legs. That's from the ankles all the way up to the hamstrings into the glutes. And then once I start to settle into it, I want you to push your hands away from you and try and get that lower body, that upper body to start getting nice and straight as well. And that's why you really need to be anchored. If you're sliding across the floor, there is not going to be a stretch on here. So take it further and further and further. 1st of December this morning, that would explain the Christmas songs next door. Jeez, oh, and it begins. Good, so I'm going to drop down just like normal, okay? I want to drop down and not push those hips, so I shouldn't feel strain on my lower back here. This is where people get it wrong. I'm not just sinking my hips and going, ah. I want you to try and push up through the body. Your glutes are going to squeeze a wee bit, but the focus is on trying to get yourself as high as you can in this position with that inverted spine. Okay, that's where you're going to feel, if your core's a little bit tight, you're going to feel a hell of a good stretch on your core. Anya, I know you like to do your own thing, but if that was the case, you would not be tuning into this, would you? Please follow the program. If you don't like the program, you can turn your video off. There we go. Good. We will be getting to that stretch, don't you worry. We will be getting to it this morning. So we're pushing up proactively, trying to take it further and further and further. I want you to look up. Where's these noses? I want to see up well, I don't want to see up your nostrils, but I should be able to see up your nostrils because we're trying to keep the nose as high as we can and bring that front of the neck in. That front of the neck is all important. People get a tight neck, sore head. A lot of the time it feeds off the front, but it doesn't quite feel like it. They forget about the front of the neck. Okay, especially if you're looking down at a computer screen, you've got bad posture all day long. Good, and then I'm going to lift up. Now this time, I'm settling into it a wee bit more, but now I'm going to add my 5-second heel grabs. Now look at me before you go while you're holding this stretch. I'm going to get my left hand and I'm going to reach across and try and grab my right foot. But when I'm doing it, look at my form. Do I break form? No, I don't. I'm pushing up with the hips up to get there. Pause for 5, feeling that stretch, then release. And then change arms, go the opposite way. Make sure you're straining. You're trying to go as far as you can for that 5 seconds, okay? So you're pushing up. What you don't want to be doing is bending the knees like so, because you're completely defeating the purpose. We're trying to hold that fundamental stretch while reaching across and trying to grab the ankles. It's supposed to be hard. Each time you go, you should feel it's just that wee bit easier to get a couple of centimetres further. And this is where you'll feel it. You'll feel it all the more on the stretch that we're holding, but you'll start to feel it more on the upper body. You'll feel it increase in the groin and the hamstrings. And keep it going. I want those 5-second pauses. This is where it is literally a matter of you doing the best you can and trying to get better. Good. Once you've done a good few of them, everyone, we're going to drop back down. Drop back down. And this will be the last one. So we usually do these kind of ones at the start of a circuit, but we forget about doing them in the mobility. So we're getting quality time spent on these. Very important stretches. Good for mobilising the spine, but as you'll find when you do it, you feel it everywhere, okay? So that's why it's an important stretch. It's one of them. If you wake up feeling stiff and sore, this is probably a good one to do because you get a lot from it. If you don't have a lot of time, think about it. When you're holding it, what you feel in stretching, pretty much everything, okay? And relax. So I just want you to simply drop. And now we're going to get on to all fours and just do a bit more spinal mobility. So I'm onto all fours, nice and balanced, feel the weight distributed evenly across my two knees and my hands, okay? I don't feel like I'm predominantly on either of them. And all I want you to do here is, it's always better if you watch to start with, is I just want you to overextend the back, trying to lift that chest up. But on this one, yep, take it far, take it further, but don't try and break yourself in half. As in, don't take it to the point where you're starting to hurt yourself. Okay, you should feel a good stretch, especially probably more in the mid-upper back. Okay. Focus on big breaths. With this one, I want you to take the biggest breath in while trying to take this far, and then take a full breath out. And it's on those big breaths that you'll help enhance this stretch, especially that breath out. Big breath in. So we've been holding this a wee while now. I want to go the other way. Again, have a delay. Watch me first. I'm going to push through my hands and I'm going to lift the mid back, but with that, I'm bringing my lower back. Watch what happens when I don't bring my lower back. A lot of people just do that. They just push the spine up through the middle of the back and they don't bring the lower back with me. Watch now, when I bring the lower back, how does it look? Start to bring that all up to, so that's what I want. You're trying to almost get your belly button and take it as high as you can off the ground. So you're taking it as high up, high up, high up. So you're bringing the whole spine up with you, not just the mid and upper back, the whole spine. You should feel this stretch through the whole back. I want you to drive the hands into the ground. I want you to imagine you're trying to pull the shoulder blades apart. So I'm always telling you to pull them together, but now I'm telling you to pull them apart. And I want you to imagine that spine is getting pulled from the center of your back, up, 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 and your knees and hands are glued to the floor. Focus on your breathing, big breaths in and out, while trying to take this one as far as you can. So don't ease out. Big breath in, and then big breath out. Continually trying to take it further. And now I want you to go back into the other one. We're going to hold it for 5, take it as far as I can, big breaths, 5 seconds, and then release. Going back in to the previous, and I just want you to keep that sequence going. 5-second pauses of trying to take it as far as you can. And each time you should just feel like you're freeing up a bit of range. Again, it depends on you as an individual where you're at with this. If you're fairly new to it, you'll find there's not much range of movement. You'll find it's quite hard, it's quite difficult. If you're fairly mobile, you'll feel you're getting a good bit of curvature in that spine. Okay, and everybody, as long as you're putting in a bit of effort and you're pushing yourself, you'll get better. Good. Good, fantastic. Right, okay, thoracic spine rotations. If you want to get a bit of weight off your hands, just relax them. I'm sure your triceps are probably getting a wee bit tired, your wrists maybe a wee bit tired. Don't say I've not got your best interests at heart. Okay, so we're going to get into thoracic spine mobilization. Same kind of thing, but now we're going to add rotations. So that thoracic spine, that's responsible for this movement, which a lot of us lose a lot of range from. Okay, we slowly start to become stiff and start rounding forward. All this gets tight. See if you're doing, again, for those of you familiar with this one, when we're doing that, okay, and a lot of people struggle to get the arm up. If you struggle to get the arm up, it's then you're like, this is the one to be doing, okay? This is a good one to help mobilize your thoracic spine, which is in a very important movement, okay? Because these muscles should be able to move freely, but unfortunately, again, day-to-day life, yeah, there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'll leave it out. It might not be appropriate for some, but some people would find it funny. I know they would. Anyway, we're going to get the old who-has onto the who-has. So I want you to get your fingertips onto your temple. Okay, again, on all fours, nice and balanced across the 3 limbs. And all I'm going to do is rotate here, away, towards which doesn't really feel like anything, and that's fine because that's just part of the range. And then when I'm lifting up, I want you to make sure that you're pulling that elbow back and you're trying to keep the pelvis from moving, okay? So what I don't want you to look like is me now. Watch me now. See when I lift up and I do this with my pelvis? That's what I don't want. Now my belly button's pointing towards you. I don't want that. I want my belly button to try and point down towards the ground as long as I can. So the idea is all this movement is coming from the thoracic spine and not the hips, okay? So I don't want that movement in the hips because this part here is nothing to do with my thoracic spine that's getting me higher. It's just my hips are tilting. So let's go for it. I want you to take it up. Remember that 5-second pause? Take it as far as you can, okay? Squeeze it, pull the elbow back, squeeze the shoulder blade, and then release down. Twist, twist, twist. Now, yep, your belly button will tilt a little bit, okay? It will. But the main thing is you're thinking about your pelvis. It is not coming with you. And then pull that elbow. So you're trying to pull that elbow back, keep the shoulder blade squeezed, take it as far as you can. Take it as far as you can, and each time you come up, you should find you just get that little bit higher. Good. And there we are. Good, I'm going to change sides now, okay? So simple, same thing. Other hand, keep the fingertips pointed on the temple. I'm trying to keep myself nice and straight here, okay? I don't want to have this horrible relaxed arm. I'm trying to keep my fingertips pointed so my elbows pointed nice and away from me. Arms parallel to the ground, and then rotate towards, just to complete the range of movement, and then I'm up and away. Simple as that. And there we are. Keep that one going. So it's full body flexibility this morning. I've picked ones that we haven't maybe done for a little while, because as always, we could turn our full body flexibility, our full body mobility into 3 hours at least if we'd done absolutely everything. So we're targeting head to toe pretty much this morning, or whenever you're watching. But we'll be fitting it into our usual 50 minutes to an hour session. Right, okay, we're done on that. Right, we're going in nicely. We're dropping down into the chest, into the chest. We're going to be targeting the actual pectoral muscles, into the shoulder here, and you're going to feel it probably more than anything deep in here. If your biceps pretty tight, which most people's are because they disregard their biceps so much, if you just let your arms hang naturally, you'll know your biceps are a wee bit tight because there'll be a kink in your arm, as you can see now. If they weren't tight, they'd be lying there completely straight, okay? You don't see many people walking about with completely straight arms, do you? But then some people have got big guns to drag about, eh? Right, anyway, we're going down, arm out to the side, whack, palm flat on the ground. I cannot urge it enough. Get that palm flat on the ground. Arms out at 90 degrees. You can play around with the angle by all means, especially if you've been doing it a while, but 90 degrees, oh, hit it nice. Then I'm going to keep my shoulder blade pulled together. Do that now. What happens? If you're rounded the shoulder, you'll feel it pull back. That's what I'm trying to maintain for this whole stretch. Don't ever let that shoulder roll forward. So in this moment in time, as you're lying flat, shoulder blades pulled together, and all I'm going to do is roll over towards my hand. Now when I roll over towards my hand, I'm keeping that palm flat on the ground, and I'm just trying to position the rest of my body any way that helps enhance that stretch. So with the other hand, I usually just have it out. Use it as a kind of anchor, as a bit of a stability. And then all I want you to do is the usual. Take it further and further and further. Where you feel this, it depends on where you're tightest. So it's a chest stretch, but you'll feel it in the shoulder. But like I say, if those biceps going into the forearms pretty damn tight, you'll feel that too, okay? Now remember, the chest is up proud. You know, I'm always telling you, when you're standing up tall, imagine you're getting your height taken against the wall, you stand up proud, your shoulder blades are squeezed together. That's what I'm doing in this position. So I'm trying to keep this chest up, and I'm pulling the shoulder blade together. And when you do that, you should feel the stretch. When you've got the stretch, that's magic. That's what we're after. You feel the stretch, and then all I'm trying to do for the next minute is take it further and further and further. So play around with your body position. I don't want you to ever ease off the stretch. So there's no point in which I relax. All I do is try and move around to see how I can make it a better stretch. My legs, all I'm doing is kind of letting my legs roll over my left shoulder, if you like, here. So it's rolling back. So that's adding a bit of weight and a bit of pressure onto that arm. And then my other arm is just gently pushing into the ground to help slowly encourage me to roll towards that arm. It's pretty obvious, okay? When you're in this stretch, you feel the stretch, it's pretty obvious what way you need to go to enhance the stretch. So all I'll say to you is, go that way. Gradually increase the stretch, take it a little bit further. 30 more seconds and we're out of here. So again, sitting about, if you sit about with bad posture or you stand with bad posture and those shoulders start to drop, you start to arch and creep the back forwards. You get used to that position, and what happens, these chest muscles become shortened and they get used to being in that shortened position. So what we're doing here is we're getting them lengthened out. And then of course, if you've been doing a lot of press-ups or bench press or the like, you'll find that these muscles will be tight. So it's always a good one to stretch out. And then I'm going to change arms, so slowly release, and you can just, I encourage you before you change arms, just pump that arm a few times, just let the blood flow. You might feel it a little bit sore in the joint. Let the blood flow back in, give it a shake, and then I don't need to get up. Lie out, onto the next one. Remember, if you look now, my shoulder's touching, it's rolled forwards. I don't want that, okay? I want to pull that shoulder blade up together. Chest up nice and proud, and then I'm rolling onto that arm slowly, maintaining that, and then reinforcing that proud chest, pulling that shoulder blade together, and then go into it. If you give into it, if you start rounding that shoulder and going further and further, you're not really getting a better stretch, you're giving into it. So, other hand on the ground, pushing into it, just to help push me a wee bit further. Rest of my body's kind of twisted round, and I'm just trying to let those legs lean over my shoulder, if you like, to help get a bit more weight into this arm. Remember, the muscle group that we're stretching out here has to be relaxed. So that arm that's pinned to the ground, just imagine it's dead weight. Nothing's happening. It's completely and utterly relaxed, and I'm just trying to roll back, 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 back. Again, we do it gradually. We don't want to feel pain when we're stretching. We don't want that pain. We don't want shooting pains, anything like that. We just want to take it further and further with that element of discomfort, because I'm stretching and trying to go a little bit out of my comfort zone with it. Keep the chest proud. Pull the shoulder blade together. And relax there. Yes. Okay, so I want you to, each time we do one of these upper body stretches, sit up, have a feel. How's things feeling? Is things starting to move a bit better? Do you find it easier to hold better posture? Okay, when we start going round these areas, you'll start to identify which ones are tight. And for most people, especially those who exercise, it's kind of everywhere around the shoulder girdle, okay, because we're using it, we're doing a lot of pressing, we're doing a lot of overhead pressing, we're doing a lot of pulling, So all these muscles get tight, okay? Bad posture, sitting about, even standing up, okay? I always say it's nothing against people that sit down. I stand up all day and my posture starts to creep like down the way, and I find myself forever going, oh, sort it out. Anyway, we're moving on. We're moving on to the lats, okay? This muscle group here, it runs round onto the back. We get a lot of tightness in here, okay? And that causes people to struggle to straighten out. So again, just like we've done the other day when I told you to grab the hip flexors and try and lock the hips out and you couldn't. Before we do that, I want you to grab a good, and I mean grab a good bit with that bent arm. Grab a good bit of the lats, right under your armpit, grab the meaty part of the muscle, try and straighten that arm out, okay? You can see here, see how hard that is? See how hard it is to straighten it, feel that pull? That's what's happening when that area gets tight, okay? If that area is tight, you're gonna struggle to lock it out, and then all that happens is your shoulders become unstable, they start rolling forwards and you start shrugging, and then we start, if you are doing things, especially when you're pressing anything overhead, you don't end up pressing it overhead, you press it out in front, or worse of all, you do press overhead, but you massively overextend the spine, okay, which is no good. So either way, let's get stuck into this one. What we're gonna do, we're gonna miss out, the one we usually do, and the go-to one we do is the elbows on the bench one. Let me show you. We always do that one. It's a good one, okay? but you know that one. If you want to do that one, you can do it in your own time. Today we're mixing it up and doing one we've not done in a while. On all fours again, arms out in front of me. All I'm going to do here is I want you to get your left hand, stick with me here, I want you to get your left hand, put it on top of your right hand. Interlock those fingers. I'm not going to look at the TV screen because it stresses me out. So I'm going to get my left hand and put it on top of my right hand. I'm going to slide my right hand out, okay? And then I'm going to put it back on top. Boom, what just happened? Just go with it. And then I want you to straighten out those elbows, and I want you to pull those knees back and then sink down into that stretch. I'm going to move to the side so you can see what it looks like from the side, okay? So I've taken my left hand, I've put it on top of my right, I've slid it out, and I've put my right on top of my left. Then I'm just going to position myself like so, trying to find a bit of comfort at least. Now with this one, it's important you try to keep those arms straight, so I want you to push those arms away and then put the head between the arms and then use the weight of your body. If you look now, that's the way I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go down, and you're going to feel that stretch right in at the bit you just grabbed. You're going to feel it on both sides, but because we've got our arms off center and we've done that whole hand on top of the other one, you're going to feel it more on one side as opposed to the other. What I want you to make sure you're not doing here is, if you look at my lower back, I don't want you to hoop. I don't want you to massively overextend that lower back, okay? So I don't want you to be feeling a lot of pressure here, because that means that you're doing that, okay? We don't want that. We're trying to keep that back fairly neutral, but push back. If you're able to get down, so beginners, you might be up here and it feels like hell, okay? People are a bit more advanced, you might be down there. If you can get those forearms to rest on the ground, by all means, rest them on the ground, but make sure you keep those elbows straight. Let's get this done, everybody. I'm seeing a lot of farting about, as always. Let's go. So we're a minute into this stretch now. I've just been talking to try and reinforce and get things right for you, get your head in the right zone. So this one's uncomfortable for a lot of people, and it is a bit of a stress position. But as long as you've got that stretch where I showed you, then you're doing it right. Push those hands away from you. Focus on your breathing and try to relax. It's not a nice one, this one, for most people. Good. And I want you to come out of that one, okay, and then shake out. Fantastic. Right, okay. So I'll re-emphasize it, because some people might be thinking, God, that's hell, or I've got a sweat on now. That is a stress position, but as long as you're getting that stretch here, it is what it is, okay? So not every stretch you do is nice and relaxed, and your body's not nice and relaxed. So let's do the other side. This time I'll face you. I'm going to take my right arm, hand, put it on top of my left. Stop looking at me like I'm explaining some sort of scientific equation that's making me stressed. So I've got my hands out in front of me. I'm going to take my right hand. I'm going to put it bang on top of my left. I'm going to take my left hand and slide it out. And then bang, I'm going to put it on top, and boom, there we have it, your position right now. Easy peasy. And then I'm down. It's pretty obvious. As soon as you start this stretch, where you feel the stretch, it's pretty obvious. All I'm ever trying to do is enhance it. So that's what I want you to do right now for the next couple of minutes. Feel that stretch. Try and enhance it. Make sure the arms are as straight as you can. Push the hands away from you. And most importantly, try to relax. For a lot of people, me included, this is pretty uncomfortable. Okay, it's a pretty damn uncomfortable stretch, but it's a good stretch. There's obviously a lot of tightness in there for me. There's not a lot of work needs doing. And just be wary of that lower back. Don't let it start to overextend. Keep the spine nice and neutral as you push down. Good. Well done. Right, ease out of there, everybody. Right, I want you to walk around, I want you to get a sip of water if you need it, shake out and just let the blood flow, because we've been down there, your head might be a little bit, whoo. So stand up, shake out, and that pretty much concludes upper body. I want you to get your band, we're moving down now, we're moving down to the hips and the lower body and everything in between. Right, I want you to grab your resistance band. If you don't have one, oh, excuse me, that was a yawn and a burp at the same time. Right, okay, so if you don't have a resistance band, a towel will suffice, but if this is mobility number 63 and you still don't have a resistance band and you've pretty much been doing them all, stop being a tight arse. Get rid of that towel and buy yourself a wee resistance band. Right, okay, so I've hooked it around the ball of my foot. This is similar, but don't get ahead of yourself. This is not the hamstring stretch. This is similar. This is what we would call a banded spinal rotation, shall we call it? Does that sound fancy? So I want you to pull on this thing and go into the hamstring stretch first and foremost. If you're not sure, watch me now. So I'm into the hamstring stretch first, okay, just to establish that position. Now I am doing my right leg, okay, so my right leg's banded. So if you're doing your left, obviously opposite everything I say now. I get a good stretch on my hamstring, and then all I want you to do is roll over with that straight leg. Now listen to me here. As I roll that leg across, I keep the knee locked out and I keep it in line with as 90 degrees as much as I can, okay? So this path here, try not to have it away down here. As soon as you've got that leg pinned, I want you to grab it with your hand, the band, okay? So if I'm doing my right leg, I'm gonna grab the band with my left hand and take up as much tension as I can, and then I'm gonna take my right arm and twist, ooh, crunch, and then twist. You might get a clunk, you might get a pop in the lower back here if you're pretty tight. But the main thing is, I'm twisting round and I'm trying to pin this right shoulder onto the floor. So it's a simple, pretty simple stretch, but it's a hell of a damn good one. This is another full body beast. Okay, so we're getting a lot involved here. For a lot of people, you'll feel it predominantly around your hamstrings. It might even feel like your IT band going into your knee. It's your hamstrings you're feeling. You'll feel it going into the hips, the hip capsule. You'll feel the glutes getting it. You're going to feel the obliques, chest, shoulder, twist across, and you're trying to get that shoulder blade pinned to the ground. You're focusing on the breathing and you're trying to find a state of relaxation within this. Once you feel you're there, I want you to try and get that leg just a wee bit higher. Straighten out the knee just that wee bit more. Make sure here you've got the foot pinned to the floor. You're pulling the band, okay, nice and plenty of tension on that band, otherwise it defeats the purpose here. So you're holding the band with one hand, but you're putting a lot of tension into it, pulling it tight. Now if you do this one properly, everybody, you'll know what I'm talking about. So we're getting the lower back. Those of you with a tight lower back, you'll feel it here. Obliques, you'll feel it. Chest, shoulder, going into the arms. Getting so much from this. Try to relax and make the most of it at the same time. And then I want you to slowly just release the tension out of that band, slowly bring the leg back up and just sit up out of that one. Okay, good work. That is, for most people, pretty uncomfortable. Now, again, depending on your ability as to where you're at in terms of where your mobility and flexibility is, you might be struggling. Let me show you before you get into that next one, because it'll be easier from this side. So I've got the foot up. So please, if you're all over it, go into it. If you want to see this, I'll show you now. So I'm going to bring that up and across, okay, and then I'm grabbing that band as low to my foot as I can. So when I pin it, plenty of tension. I don't want to way up here and relax, because then there's not much going on here. Grab a good bit of that band, pull it off. That feels tight. For a lot of people who are very tight, what you'll struggle to do is get across. You'll struggle to get this shoulder pinned onto the floor, and you'll find yourself somewhere here going, What I want you to make sure, if you're that person, keep the arms straight, keep the fingertips straight, and go to the point in which you can't go any further, and then don't give into it. Go as far as you can while maintaining that nice straight arm, shoulder blade pulled together, okay? So don't end up looking like this, going, like you've just fallen down the stairs, okay? I want you to twist, 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 twist. Get to a point in which you feel the stretch. Now, even those of you who are fully mobile, you'll feel this a lot, and like I said, for most, you'll feel it predominantly in the leg. So make sure you achieve a nice state of relaxation in this leg. You want to make it feel completely dead weight. Pull that band nice and tight and get a lot from it. So this is pretty uncomfortable, but Make the most of it. Remember, a half-arsed stretch will yield half-arsed results. That goes for everything. So put something into it. If it doesn't feel like you're giving it your all, well, don't expect a lot of change. Be disciplined, push it, get it done. Take that leg a wee bit higher, enhance the stretch, pull that band, lock the knee out, twist. Last little bit. Good. And then I want you to slowly, ever so slowly, ooh, relax there. Good. Right, as always, catch your breath. Right. In fact, I urge you, stand up. Let's stand up and shake out, because this next one's going to be a long one and a long, uncomfortable one if you do it right. It's going to be that big warrior lunge where we get into the groin. I call it a warrior lunge. It's not really a warrior lunge, but it is what it is. I don't do the names of stretches, okay? I don't know them, but we're stretching the groin out, and we're going to do so by means of a big prominent lunge forwards. This is one where we're going to be spending probably about 2 to 3 minutes in it, and you're trying to take it further and further and further. Discipline, okay? Don't ease out of it. Don't start farting about. Make the most of it and get something from it. Big, prominent lunge forwards, okay? Making sure that knee is not on a hard surface, okay? It doesn't mean you're tough because you've got your kneecap on a hard floor, okay? It means you're stupid. You're going to end up hurting yourself and you'll pay that price later on in life. So all I'm going to do is I am going to pin. Stick with me here. I know it gets complicated when I start mentioning left or right for some people, but I want you to put your left hand on your left leg, okay? Pin that foot down. Look at where my elbow naturally falls, okay? So yep, if you're on the other leg, I'd probably recommend you do the same leg as me. You can put the band away now. You don't need it. You don't need to put it all back in the wrapper. You can do that after the class. Get it off the side. Pay attention. Jeez, oh. Right. So look at where that elbow naturally falls, okay? It's in at my knee. So what I want you to do throughout this stretch is just push that elbow into the knee to help pull it apart, as I would do when I'm squatting. Now I want you to pin this hand flat on the floor. That's important, okay? So get off those fingertips. Get off those fingertips. Good. And then all I want you to do is push the hips down, okay? Down, and then force the chest up. I want you to push down, 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 down. Square yourself off so it feels like you're fairly over and level with the ground. And then you've got that stretch right there, bang, in here. Feeling it in the groin, and you're going to feel it in at the hip flexor if that's feeling a bit tight. I'm going to move around the other side so you can see the angles, etc., and what's going on with that back leg. So I'm looking like this. I'm not looking like that, and I've not got this leg away in. I've got it as straight as I can without it coming off the ground. So in this instance, we are not bringing it off the ground. Apply that tension. Okay, I'm going to move back here now because we're going to need to for this next bit. So focus on your breathing. This is the basic stretch, okay? So I want you to take this as far as you can and lift that chest up. Trying to achieve a nice neutral spine. Keep the hands pinned flat to the ground and keep that other hand pinned to the foot. You're trying to pull the knee apart to enhance the stretch, but your foot, drive the toes into the ground just like a squat. Drive the toes in. What happens? Okay, your foot becomes stuck to that ground. That's the whole point. Now, do not use this as an excuse to ease out of the stretch. This is a stretch. From this point on, it should feel like it's getting not worse, because that's the wrong choice of words, but you get the point. We should be enhancing the stretch from this moment on. Now I want you to take this hand off and just slowly start, and I mean slowly, start walking away and twisting away from that knee, but keep this knee, keep pulling that knee apart. Don't let it come with you. Your hips, you're pushing them down. Every little bit you move away, you should feel the stretch increase. If you move away, why are we moving around? Why are we farting about? We should be holding that stretch. Come on. So I'm twisting away. As I twist away here, everybody, every little twist, every little hand movement should feel like more and more of a stretch. If it doesn't, you've probably started lifting the hips off without realising it or bringing that knee with you. That knee, grab it. In fact, I encourage you now, that left knee, grab it and push it away from you, okay? Feel that? That's where we should be at. That knee shouldn't be falling off. Falling off? It shouldn't be falling off. It definitely shouldn't be falling off. I want you to drop the chest down. How does that feel? Does that feel like you're enhancing it? And all I want you to do is slowly start walking your way back to the centre while doing what I'm doing now. It's almost like I'm doing a press up. Okay, and what I should be achieving is an enhancement on the stretch that I'm doing. Okay, so I'm back to the center now, everybody. And now what I want you to do, I'm on my left leg at the front. I'm going to drop that right elbow. Boom. I'm going to pin that hand onto the foot again, and I'm going to pull myself in. So I'm trying to get my chest to go towards my heel, and this is where it'll feel pretty nasty. Believe me, this is not comfortable, but that's why I'm talking fast. Focus on your breathing, pull yourself in, take it as far as you can. Doesn't feel nice, but we're nearly done. We'll literally be done in about 15 seconds, so take it further, further, further. Focus on your breathing, stay relaxed, take it further. Back to the center, back to that original, chest up proud, and then 3, 2, 1, I want you to relax. So before we get into the next side, get up on your feet, get a sip of water if you need it, and shake out, okay? When you get up, you'll probably feel like you're walking a bit ski whiff. Okay, if you've done that stretch properly and you've massively managed to mobilize one side, you'll feel like you're staggering a wee bit, okay? It'll feel like you've got a new leg and an old leg. So do it properly. You should absolutely feel the difference if you put your all into that. If you're not finding it a bit dodgy standing up right now, you probably didn't put a lot of effort into it. You should feel that prominent change that we've just given ourselves. Change legs, okay? Let's get this done. So a damn good stretch, this one. Addresses a lot of the tightness responsible for our squatting and around the hips. Okay, not so much the ankles. You know how I feel about ankles. You should feel that way too, okay? Ankles are the key to depth in your squat, but a lot of the time, we also have a lot of tightness in the groin area, hip flexors. So, boom, hand. I've got my right leg this time, so I've got my right hand onto my foot, and the elbow's just naturally sitting inside my knee. I'm going to get my other hand and I'm going to pin it flat to the ground. And then I'm going to get that back leg and just try to push it behind me as far as I can, and then try to achieve a nice level, would we say, as if I was in the press up position. I don't want to be pulled off to the side. I want to be nice and level, and I want to feel like I'm pushing down towards the ground now. So these hips are trying to push down towards the ground as if I'm trying to lock them out. And then once I've got that stretch, I'm going to lift the chest up, which is going to help mobilize that spine. For you to lift that chest up, you might have to think about it, work out how to do it, okay? I can't make you know how to do it, but all I would say is, when we're doing those spinal mobilizations earlier on, just think about that, lift the chest up, push the chest through, and that'll help bring it in, okay? For some people, you'll be really arched and you'll find you can't go any further, that's fine. Take it to that point and work on it. As long as you're applying more tension and you're trying to take it further, you will get better. Focus on your breathing. I'm not just holding it, I'm enhancing it. I'm trying to go further. I'm trying to push my hip down harder. I'm trying to lift my chest up more. Don't ease out. Don't just hold it and, you know, watch whatever you're watching on the TV. So, easy. Maintain this position of the knee. And all I want you to do now, push the hips down, twist away. Twist away. So every little hand movement, you should feel that stretch in hands. If you don't, stop. Push the hips down, lift the chest up, and make sure you're still holding that position. Make sure that knee hasn't started coming with you. You can check it, okay? Push it out every so often. How's that feeling? Yep. And then across, and keep that going. I want you just to keep twisting and pushing down those hips and pulling that knee apart. Drive the toe into the ground. Keep that foot stable. And then start to lower down. And then slowly walk a wee bit closer back to the center line. Lower down. And when you lower down, everyone, I want you to keep pulling that knee apart. Keep that knee going out the way. Do not let that knee come in. So I'm slowly working my way back to the start position, which I'm at now. Back to that start position. Okay, reset into that start position. Don't ease out. Do not ease out. Not at this point. Drop the left elbow. Okay, grab that foot. Get the elbow into the knee and just pull yourself in. Horrendous for some. Okay, I want you to try and take it as far as you can. Stay relaxed. Focus on your breathing. Take it further and take it further.
We're nearly there. Good. Back to the centre. Chest up proud, push the hips down. 3, 2, 1, and relax. And again, I want you to stand up. And you should feel a good difference there when you walk around. You should feel like you've got a new lease of life in those hips. Okay, so walk around, enjoy that feeling. That is a feeling of being a little bit more mobile, everybody, if you put in the work, okay? Things like your squats, they should just feel that little bit easier now. Getting down, pulling those knees apart should happen natural. Okay, there we are now. So, you're going to need a chair, a wall, a coffee table, a sofa. We're doing the hip flexor stretch, the couch stretch. Another familiar one to us all. Basically, you need something to elevate your foot on. And it looks like this. We need something that we can do that with. And I want you to make sure you've got this foot nice and high. So this is where a wall works fine. Don't go and start trying to rearrange your living room. Okay, if you've got a sofa there, use the sofa. You just need something that you can get that foot in this position on, okay? And all we're doing is that hip flexor stretch. Now, I want you to get the knee as below the foot as you can, because I want this shin to be as vertical as possible, otherwise I defeat the purpose. If you're like this right now, and that knee's a mile away, and you've got a 45-degree angle, you're kind of defeating the purpose of why we're elevating the foot. So try and make it as comfortable as you can. This with a bench for me is not ideal. All I want you to do first and foremost is bring this foot forward, 90 degrees on the shin, okay, so my shin's vertical. And I'm in this pretty much a similar position as to the last stretch, see? And all I want you to do is start pushing the hips forward as if you're at the top of a kettlebell swing, while slowly starting to bring yourself up. Now, the end goal is not this. What is wrong with this position? Okay, look at my pelvis. Well, you can't quite see it, but my pelvis is sitting like this. Okay, I'm sitting at a corner kick, and my lower back's massively overextended. That is not good for anyone, okay? So I want you to keep your body in a position like mine, about 45 degrees, and then from this moment on, it depends on your own ability where you're at with things. I want you to start pushing the hips forward. Kettlebell swing. We get to the top of a kettlebell swing, we squeeze the butt through. Same as we do at a glute bridge. I want you to think about that rather than trying to get this up, because when you think about pushing those hips forwards, you'll naturally come up. What I want you to make sure you're avoiding with this lower back is that you start to do this, okay? That's no good. That's not enhancing the stretch, that's just putting unnecessary strain on the lower back. I want you here now, everybody, to grab a hold of your hips, okay? I want you to grab, and when I say grab, I want you to grab a hold of your hips. Get a good squeeze of them, find the pelvis, and I want you to almost imagine, not even imagine, grab a hold of it and twist it so that it's nice and straight. So if you feel it's been pulled off to the side of this leg, grab a hold of it and try and pull it straight, and then push forwards. Okay, we don't want to be pushing forwards with our pelvis sitting at a corner kick. So try to grab a hold of that pelvis, and I'm pushing forwards. You'll feel the stretch anywhere up from the quads into the hip flexors. It depends where you're tightest. For me, I'm feeling it massively on the quads down at the knee, but that's just me. Bringing the hip flexor through. So as you can see, from my start position to where I'm at now, I'm starting to loosen off and I'm starting to get more vertical naturally. Depending on where you're at with things, you might still be here, but that's fine. Keep that pelvis as balanced as you can. Keep pushing through. Last 30 seconds, so I want you to squeeze the butt through. Push through as hard as you can. Just squeeze it as if you're at the top of that kettlebell swing or the top of that glute bridge. You'll feel where the stretch is at, so you're trying to enhance that without putting yourself in a bad position. Okay, simple. Focus on your breathing. Hip flexors get forgotten about, everyone. We've talked about them previously, we've talked about them many times. If your hip flexors are tight, that's going to affect the position of your pelvis when you're rested, when you're in a relaxed state. You're going to end up with a tilted pelvis, okay? And that's where a lot of us start to feel a lot of tightness in the lower back. It almost feels like when you're out running or out walking or standing for long periods of time, it almost feels like the weight of the world is just pushing down onto the center of your tailbone, if you like, your lower back. If that's what you feel, okay, get into this stretch. So I've changed sides. get into this stretch. Not only stretching it, but also we need to strengthen it. So if the hip flexors are tight, that's going to start pulling the pelvis, tilting the pelvis. So we need to loosen off the hip flexors. But then with that, we need to strengthen up the posterior chain, okay? So that those glutes in the lower back have got the strength to hold the pelvis in the right position. So it's not just always a case of stretching. Quite often it's a combination of stretching, mobilizing and strength at the same time. So loosen off those hip flexors, strengthen up those glutes. And also if you do feel this is pretty tight, get the foam roller into it. Get the foam roller into it, especially the crease of the hips, banging that hip flexor. So I'm pushing the hips forwards here, remember, squeezing the butt, trying to lock the hips out without leaning back. My body's becoming more vertical because I'm pushing the hips forwards, not because I'm trying to bring it up. So focus on your breathing, relax, but keep pushing those hips through. Final bit, 20 seconds, so you go for it now. You squeeze that butt through, you lock those hips out, you focus on your breathing, you get it done. Good. Right, relax there everyone. Same as always, walk around, see if you can feel the benefits. Okay, so like I say, if your hip flexors are tight, what will happen is you'll end up looking like this when you stand up. You try and stand up, or when you relax. Yes, I'm emphasising it a wee bit. I keep saying it, you're going to end up with that tilt of the pelvis. Okay, this is all jammed up tight, which is pulling my pelvis like so. But then this becomes weak. So when you squeeze your butt, what happens? Boom, okay, that pelvis starts to line back up again. Glutes are weak, they're not working properly, it goes back again. So it's a combination of the both. Okay, and this is where a lot of people do. They feel, and I've had it before, tight hip flexors, you'll start to feel a lot of weight and a lot of tightness in here. It'll feel like when you're standing for periods of time, or when you're running, it'll just feel like everything's jamming down into that lower back. Again, that might be helping just one person, and if it is, then it's worth it, but keep on top of that area. Right, we're nearly there. We're going to get into our glutes. So, we're not going for the enhanced glutes this morning, we're going for the more traditional glutes. So I want you to get that leg out 90 degrees in front of you. 90 degrees, grab a hold of the foot. This leg here, the back leg, I want you to chuck it behind you as far as you can, but keep it in this same 90 degrees. So it should be 90 degrees and 90 degrees, but get this back, okay? The further back you get this, the more you'll get out of this stretch, okay? A lot of people think, oh, look how good I am because I can get all the way down. Chances are those people haven't put this leg, further behind them. So get it right back there, and straight away you'll probably feel it. You'll probably feel it coming on already. So all I'm doing, trying my best to get myself nice and squared up to my knee. All I want you to do, don't let this leg start to slide, so I'm going to pin it anyway. I'm slowly going to bring my chest towards my knee. Now I'm going to swing round on the side so you can see what not to do, because a lot of people do it. I'm trying to keep my spine fairly neutral, okay? If you just go like this, I've not lengthened out the glutes to get down there. All I've done is arch the back. Okay, so I'm getting down further without getting any benefit. So try to keep the spine neutral. Try not arch the back, and just slowly start working the chest towards the knee. Now you'll see me looking like I'm almost fidgeting a lot with this one with my hands, and it's because I'm just trying to move around to get in the best possible position I can. So I'll be onto the elbows when I start getting lower. Okay, and it's as simple as that. Focus on your breathing, get stuck into it, and we're nearly there. So you'll feel this one on the glutes on your outer hip, but you might also feel it, or feel it even more, in at the groin. It depends what's tightest, and that can change on a daily basis. Okay, if you do a lot of squats, you might feel that if you're doing a lot of deep squats, should I say, you'll feel that that groin gets pretty damn sore, and you'll feel that on this. But for most people, it's a nice balance between groin and glutes. So trying to go further and further and further, and focus on your breathing. Now the next part, once you start to feel you're getting down there and you manage to get onto your elbow, like you can see I am, I'm stretching out my left, so I've got my left leg in front. So again, if you've got the other leg, if you've got your right leg in front, opposite what I say now. So I've got my left leg in front, I'm going to take my right arm and I'm going to pin it like so. Okay, I've got it like so. I'm going to pin that elbow and then just slowly encourage a twist away from my foot. So all this elbow's doing is just pinning me to the ground, and all I'm going to try and do is just twist away from that foot, focus on my breathing, and that is where you'll start to bring the glutes into it more. So I'm twisting away from the foot. It's simple. Nothing's changed with the stretch. I've just decided that I'm going to look the other way, away from my foot, and all I've done is put that elbow in front just to stop me going back, okay? So it's just an anchor point, and I'm going to continue trying to go lower and lower and lower, and that twist away from the foot is going to help bring this one into the glutes. You'll feel this in your lower back also if it's feeling tight around that area. Focus on your breathing, and you're just trying to sink into it more and more and more. Good, and then we're going to relax there. And then we're going to change arms. I'll face you this time so you can see. Change arms, change legs. So I've got my right leg out in front now, 90 degrees, get it set up, and then I'm going to chuck that left leg as far back as I can, but try to keep that 90-degree bend on it, so it's 90 degrees and 90 degrees. Then, chest nice and proud, I'm just going to try and get myself squared off to my knee, and then it begins. I'm going down. But I'm going down not by dropping the chest, but by bringing the whole upper body down and keeping that spine as neutral as I can. And this is where you have to think about this leg that's in front, you have to think about relaxing it all, completely relax the hip, because if it's tight, you'll feel it tenses, you'll feel it fights it just a little bit, and we don't want that. So taking it further, taking it further, taking it further. Don't be lazy with it, remember, try to be proactive. This is the last one we're doing, everyone. So once we're finished here, session is done. So now I've been down here a wee while, you'll maybe see it better for this angle, but I'm doing my right leg, so I'm going to get my left elbow and just pin it in front and then twist. When I say twist, slowly twist away. So I'm pinning this arm down and twisting away from that foot. And when I do that, I feel it straight away enhance my glutes. So all I'm going to do from here is it's based off of feel. Anything I can do to enhance that glute stretch, I'm going to do. Keep that back leg behind you completely relaxed also. And slowly relax out of that. Ooh. Bring your legs back up. Stand up tall, shake yourself out, take 3 big breaths and then go and crack on with your day. So hopefully you feel a bit of something from that, okay? Trying to get as much of full body done as we can in an hour, but rather than rush over everything and try and get everything done, we do as much of the full body as we can, but spend quality time on each area. Every time we do full body, I just try to incorporate the ones that we didn't quite manage to do the time before. So it always evolves, like I say, there is a system in place. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. The next class we do will be mobility. What? What?